But let's talk about our keys to victory. I think the game plan is just this simple. Air it out. Don't try to force the run game if it ain't there. That's just me. So basically, it's counterproductive to what I said last week. Last week, I said, hey, establish the run, play with the lead, yada, yada, yada. I think for the offense, it's very simple. Air it out because their DBs can't stick with your wide receivers. And for the defense, they've done well against Lamar. They've done well against Lamar. Odell Beckham, he didn't do much. I think he's still, he's still feeling some stuff out there. I think continuously trying to apply pressure on Lamar Jackson and rotate defenders on the defensive line in and out so that way we stay fresh. I think that's the call to action for the defense. This game, defense, Mike Hilton, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you, not for coverage reasons. I'm looking at you from a blitzing perspective. You are going to be the guy that is going to be able to heat up Lamar Jackson along with the defensive line, but Lamar Jackson could outrun a lot of the defensive linemen. If we're looking for an extra blitzer, Mike Hilton, I'm looking at you. Logan Wilson, do what you did your rookie year against Lamar Jackson. Just be a spy in the middle of the field. When he throws those floaters across the middle, make sure every opportunity, defense, I'm talking to you, every opportunity that this offense gives you to get a hand on the ball, that is when you're able to get some takeaways. We already know what the X factor is for them. The X factor for them is Mark Andrews. Don't let Mark Andrews beat you. That's my call to action for the defense. Offense, their DBs can't stick with your receivers. Defense, don't let Mark Andrews beat you. Evan, what say you?
Yeah, just to touch what you talked about a little bit on the practice report from today, actually. Limited practice for Mark Andrews, so he's probably playing. Marlon Humphrey, no practice. Tyler Lindenbaum, no practice. Ronnie Stanley, no practice. Marcus Williams, obviously, pectoral, no practice. It's a lot of good players there for the Ravens that they're going to be missing, man. And like you said, it's going to be attacking.
Practice?
Nope. So they're going to be weak on that offensive line. Hopefully, like you said, rotating defensive linemen against a already weak offensive line will help keep them fresh and help them all stay productive, especially with the deeper guys you have now. Miles Murphy's going to have to step up. Cameron Sample did not practice with an ankle today. So if he's out and if Osai's out, then, Miles Murphy's really going to have to step up in what snaps he does end up playing. Osai did get a limited practice in, so that was good news. Maybe he ends up getting back all the way, but I wouldn't expect a lion's share of snaps for him. But yeah, man, like you said, attacking and testing those corners. You're talking about Rocky Sin and Ronald Darby, and
I still got an issue with Rocky Sin. Couple years ago, Giovanni
with the Colts.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
couple years ago,
yeah,
Giovanni Bernard, Joe Burrow's rookie year, right? Was it Joe Burrow?
No, that was Andy Dalton.
That was Andy Dalton when he suplexed Giovanni Bernard. Remember that? Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. But yeah, man, you got Geno Stone, you've got Brandon Stevens. These are going to be the guys who are filling in a little bit for some of these guys who are. So you're going to have youth and inexperience in that secondary. You're going to have talent deficiency in terms of the drop off between Jamar and those corners or T in those corners. I don't think that's any type of stretch to say. So yeah, this is going to be the game where you want to air it out. You want to take advantage of the weapons you have. The D-line for the Ravens was very productive last week. I think that's probably a big part of the Texans being pretty porous and pretty banged up on offense. They ended up with 14 different players who recorded the pressure. 5 different players had a sack. I think that's a rookie with a bad offensive line. I don't think you see that. I don't think that you see the Ravens feel comfortable blitzing on a third of the dropbacks.
Yep.
So if you really want to put those corners on an island against Jamar and T, they're going to be happy to take shots at those go balls like we saw a little bit 100%. In the rain before they kind of gave up on trying to attack that passing game that way. As for the defense, I think the key is going to be rally and tackle because we know Mark Andrews has been a big part of that middle of the field attack. And now Zay Flowers is also going to be part of that middle of the field check down safety valve option for Lamar. And we saw 15 targets for the Ravens go behind the line of scrimmage or in the short yardage, 10 yards or less, compared to only 5 between intermediate and deep. So a big part of their offense is going to be running the ball, short plays, letting Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers make plays after the catch. So if we can shut that down and really cloud up the middle of the field, challenge Lamar to be a passer, challenge Odell Beckham and Rashad Bateman to beat you.
Right.
I think that's going to be the way to really kind of make the Ravens offense play the way you want them to.
Correct.
I mean, Zay Flowers A-dot was like 2.2 or something.
Yeah, no, he was his. I think his yards. I think his yards per catcher was like 8 or something like that.
And he's good. He looked good. You know, so that'll
he's
be
great after the catch.
Yeah, that'll be a little interesting wrinkle to see how we do that. And then we kind of talked about it last show, but with the weather and kind of how the game went, we talked about who's going to be guarding the tight ends. You know, we didn't really have to see that too much last week. We're going to have to see it this week with Mark Andrews. And obviously, we talked about Mike Hilton. Is he going to be blitzing more? If he is in coverage, how is he going to stack up against a young, shifty receiver like Zay Flowers? You know, we're just going to have to see. You know, those questions haven't been answered yet. We have to see how it goes. And offensively, for me, the biggest thing I just want to see is sustain some drives, man. Like, it was just, you know, like you can struggle on offense and still, like, be okay. But we had so many 3-and-outs. I mean, Brad Robbins punted the ball 10 times. Just the way with how well the defense was playing for a long time, they just got worn out, man. Like the Browns are tough to play against regardless, but they're going to be even tougher to play against when you're on the field way more than you need to be. And especially against the Ravens, having to deal with Lamar and having to deal with Mark Andrews more than you need to be, or just more time than normal, is not a recipe for success. And, you know, a lot of that is going to come on the offense. Yeah, I don't think the offense is going to go from 0 to perfect in a week, but we need to sustain some drives. You need to know when, hey, we need to buckle up and get a two first downs at least. Our defense is struggling. Like, you got to find a way to do it sometimes. And, you know, I think it goes back to like what Malik was saying. You got to take what the defense is giving you sometimes. It just got to work together, man. We talk about not really marrying the run and pass all the time. When your offense is struggling, your defense on the field, you got to find a way to pick up a first down so they get a breather too. It's a true team sport. And, you know, I think last week we kind of saw the offense let everybody down a little bit, and the defense just kept getting exhausted. But the defense played phenomenal early in that game. It's just, you're on the field so much.